Facebook. Perfect. Here we go. Awesome. Thank you guys for being on. Really excited to share a lesson that we have today. Let's see. My little Facebook thing doesn't. Oh, there it is. Okay, perfect. Okay, got it. That's weird. My little screen was messed up. So we're going to be sharing with you guys a mindset lesson today. And it is from one of our very favorite books called Where Will You Be 5 Years from Today? And if you've never read this book, it's super short. It's actually like an activity book, and it is one of my favorites. I've used it for years, many years, actually, probably like 7 or 8 years now, I guess. And so we're gonna go over a couple of things on here that I think you're really gonna love. Before we do that, what's happening here, Annie? Let me get it. Before we do that, I'd love for you guys to post in the chat something that you are grateful for today. One thing that you are grateful for today. Mine is easy, and it is the sunshine. Finally, we've gotten some warm weather, and it is supposed to be 91 here in Florida today. So really excited about that. What about you?
Gratitude. Yeah. You know what? We were talking about this yesterday. Just being around family, around family, having downtime with family, getting to enjoy downtime and reconnect.
Okay. What are you guys grateful for in the chat? Podcast. Yep. Angie, love that. That expanded your mind. Jess, grateful for this call. I'm glad you're on. Angie, you'll have to share what podcasts you've been listening to lately. Which ones, or if you have any good ones, any new ones?
Honestly, I really kind of got addicted to TikToks. And so I tell you what, there is so many entrepreneurs that are on there that just give such a motivation, just, 20-second clip that I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just, it just expands my mind. Podcast, of course, Bigger Pockets, yours as well. Living Everything with Real Estate. It always encourages me. And then of course, John Maxwell. So always just, I've kind of this last 6 months to a year, it's like, okay, be more purposeful when I'm in the car instead of listening to radio and just tuning out. Sometimes you definitely need that. But just using those 30 minutes here and there has been just really good here lately. So
yeah, love it. Thanks for sharing. You and Heather will have to exchange TikTok stories. She gets in a spiral on TikTok too.
I'm telling you, it's like
yours are probably more inspirational than mine.
Well, although Heather has been finding some good healthy recipes lately.
Yeah, I have. That's helped.
Which is good.
It's bad to do it right before you go to bed. Then my mind, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I thought I got to write it down and just whatever. And yeah, not a good time to watch those.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. So just wanted to remind you guys of the March challenges. I am late on the April challenges because we are on spring break. So my goal is to get those finished today. And get them knocked out. They'll be a little late, but I've got some good ones for you guys. And I really wanted to finish one book before I recommended it, and I just did that while we were here. So, okay, we're gonna hurry. We got a lot to go through. So we're gonna talk about where will you be 5 years from today. And this book is so great. And some of you have seen pieces of this, so I'm doing something different today, but this is your life. That should say your one and only life. You determine what's possible, make the choices, ask questions, and take the steps, because today is the day. So did you guys know that 5 years is actually 260 weeks, 1,820 days, and 2,620,800 minutes? So if you really want to see how fast time goes, look at it in days or minutes. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it flies by lately. So did you know that in just under 5 years, Michelangelo painted the Sistine Chapel? This was a pretty decent picture that I found. That's insane. If you think about, this is only like, I think, a quarter of the entire place. And in 5 years, he painted the entire thing. In less than 5 years, Shakespeare wrote Hamlet, Othello, King Lear, Macbeth, and 5 other immortal plays. He wrote all of those in less than 5 years, which is crazy to think about. This one's nuts. Fired from their home improvement jobs, Arthur Blank and Bernie Marcus created a business model called Home Depot and went public with their idea. Just 3 years after losing their jobs, they had an annual sales of $1 billion. Just in 3 years after quitting their normal job, they created Home Depot and had $1 billion in sales. And then this one's always great. At age 30, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos was living in a 500 square foot apartment. 5 years later, just a little shy of 5 years later, his net worth was 10 billion. And this was several years ago. So, as it continues to rise. So anything is possible in 5 years. And then we're going to give you 5 steps. So step number 1 is you have to set your goals. BJ Marshall says, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. So with your goals, you need to be very specific. One of the things that I actually love in here is, let me read it to you really quickly. It says, if you were actually to walk into a restaurant, you don't just sit down and say, bring me some food. Instead, you're very specific. You pick exactly what you want from the menu. And if you're like me, it takes you 5 minutes to order because you're like, none of this, add this, cook it this way, cook it that way. You're very specific. So anything you would say over just like setting, because you're very goal based.
So when it comes to setting the goals, number 1, I would say, how are they aligned with your vision, right? We always start back at vision, and the vision is the biggest focus. And where is that listed, right? Where do you have either your vision and or your goals situated? So for example, I know mine, they live right here on the front of my phone, and there's my vision board right on the front of my phone. So every time, by the way, do you know how many times you pick up your phone? You might as well put it to good use every time you pick up your phone so you can see your goals. Mine live right here. And if you go to your vision, where does your vision actually live? So ours lives right here in my notes. So I take a ton of notes on my phone. So right here, it has our vision for our family and our philosophies and our values. So they all live right here, which are then co-connected every time I pick up my phone.
That's really good. So it says in here in this book, one of the things that you will be able to see is that if you have the book or if you buy the book, it says, don't just say my goal over the next 5 years is to be happy. Be specific. The clearer and more vividly you visualize a goal, the easier it becomes to achieve or to acquire it. If possible, write in it, fly in it, visualize it, rehearse it, get pictures of it, and then list the steps that you need to attain it. So you really want to be very specific if you're wanting to accomplish something in the next 5 years. And we've already gone back. Let me just go back for the people that just hopped on. We already know that Michelangelo painted the Sistine Chapel in less than 5 years. Shakespeare wrote all of his plays in less than 5 years. Home Depot in less than 3 years started from being fired and hit $1 billion in sales. And Jeff Bezos went from basically being broke to a net worth of 10 billion with Amazon. So step number 2 is to think big. And I know this is not an unfamiliar term to most of you, especially those of you that are with KW or in one of our offices. Most people don't aim too high and miss, they aim too low and hit. So I want you to think about, what would you attempt if you knew that you could not fail? I love in the book, it says, there isn't one person in 1,000 who can write down his or her most exciting dreams without at the same time telling themselves it's probably impossible. And think about how often we actually do that. We come up with these goals or these dreams, and then we say, I don't know if that's actually possible or not. The truth is, virtually anything is possible and nothing is too good to be true. So the question that I want you guys to think about is, what would you attempt if you knew that you could not fail? And I really want you to write down a dream that you would love to pursue if you absolutely knew that you could attain it. So maybe think on this one for a minute. Anything you would add on that? Thinking big?
Big time. Honey, did you notice I wore my Ferrari hat today?
Yes.
Okay, good. Just making sure visualization, right? No, this is a really,
Not yet.
really
We're not getting a Ferrari
important
yet.
one. And here's what I mean by important in my opinion. So in any of my coaching relationships with my clients, this is what I tell them to do. We've all heard of think big. Now, your head, your thinking big ceiling is created by you and your environment, right? It's created by the who's in your life. So as you get into this thinking big space, I would suggest that you audit the who's in your environment.
Oh, that's the next slide.
Perfect.
You're jumping. You didn't, did you look at that one
No.
already?
No, I didn't. But back to this real quick. Thinking big is created by your environment, right? It's created by your environment. So pay attention to that.
So write down a dream that you would love to pursue if you absolutely knew that you could attain it. What is something that would be? And you might need to think on it, and you may just need to like jot down the question so that you can have more time to think on it. But I really want to challenge you to actually think of what that could be.
And make sure it moves you, right? Make sure as you're writing, it puts a smile on your face, right? Make sure that when you're thinking this big, maybe you're not thinking about yourself, or maybe you're thinking about others, right? And make sure that that is the focal point, because we can let ourselves down, but can we really let other people down? I hope not, though. That's the goal there.
Perfect. Love it. Okay, so you skipped ahead, and this is one of my favorite ones. Step number 3 is to chunk it down. So big ideas can be intimidating, but even your biggest and your most daunting goal can be achieved if you simply break it into bite-sized chunks. Some of you may be better at this than others. I feel like this took me a while to really actually do. Either you are living out someone else's dream for you, or you are setting your own course. So don't let other people tell you who you are. Form the habit of saying yes to your own ideas, then write down all the reasons why they will actually work. There's always plenty of people around that will tell you that they won't work. And many of you probably have realized that before. It is so true. There are so many people that tell you what you can't do and what won't work. So you need to really get good. John Maxwell's taught us this for years. You need to get good at telling yourself that you can, because so many other people will tell you that you can't. And the best way to do that is to surround yourself with people who believe that you actually can. So here's a benchmark test for choosing the people that you are around. Will spending time with this person drag me down or lift me up? Will they make me want to be a better person, a happier person, a more successful person? Will they actually help me achieve my most important goals? And I love in the book, Oprah Winfrey says, one of my best moves is to surround myself with friends who, instead of asking why, are quick to say, why not? Because that attitude is contagious. And I love that. I just think that is so great. There's a couple of pages in the book about this. But there's another quote that I didn't put on here. To be nobody but yourself in a world which is doing its best day and night to make you like everybody else means to fight the hardest battle which any human being can fight, but never stop fighting. And I feel like a lot of times we aren't even, actually, we just had this conversation about somebody else who we feel like just the people that they're around are just dragging them down. And it's unfortunate to be able to watch that.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, when you do this, you've got to walk into a room and say, gosh, I'm intimidated to be in this room, or gosh, it's not comfortable being in this room, in a positive way. So I'll give you a quick little story. 2013, when I took over a KW Market Center, I felt my dreams were really big, but the environment that I was with was not correct. And so that's when I joined a group called GoBundance. And I walked into this room, which had the who's who at the time of the KW world, and I was scared to death. I was really scared to death because I was, number one, afraid that I was going to be judged because I was about this big, which I wasn't, because that was my own projection there. And then number two, I grew exponentially faster because those who's had bigger goals than I did. And it really made all the difference in the world. So auditing your who's and doing it consistently is so important. So important.
Yep. Love it. And a lot of times I feel like we've heard, which this sounds like judgmental, but it's really not. If you want to be a millionaire, then, go hang around 5 millionaires. If you want to be really fit and in shape, then go hang around really fit and in shape people. And the list can go on and on and on, but it is really true because you kind of morph into who you're around. So one action item would be to list, or if you're driving and listening, which I know a lot of you are, think about 5 people who could actually help you achieve your dreams and goals, and actually write down their names. And maybe it's people, actually, you know what? Oh man, I don't have the screenshot of it, but I read the best thing yesterday from John Maxwell's, oh shoot, I'm not going to be able to find it. I'll have to find it and post this in the Facebook group because it was so good. But he said that he's had 3 mentors in his life. The ones were number one was the one that they knew that they were mentoring him. And so they knew him and he knew them. And the second one, I don't remember what the second one was. That's what I'll have to look up. But the third one was the mentors that he's had that never knew that they were mentoring him, meaning he probably never got to meet him, or he probably never had a great, had a direct relationship with them. But they mentored him through, Angie, kind of what you said, through podcasts, through books, through speaking engagements, through all of those things. And I just loved that. And I thought, man, that's so good, because a lot of times we just forget that. We think that it has to be someone right here next to you that can actually help you achieve your goals, and it doesn't have to be all the time, which is great.
One thing I would say to this right here is list the 5 people. And if you're being really serious with yourself, you're probably not in the right room right now, right? Because if you're not where you want to be, then the 5 people that you've been around prior are probably not the right 5 people. So taking a serious audit of those 5 people is massively important.
Heather put the link for the book in the chat, by the way, for those of you that are looking for it. So thank you for doing that. And then Heather Stanich asked a great question. What can one do when their most important person in their life is not a cheerleader for you?
Great question.
Good question.
Great question. You want to take that? You want me to take that?
Man, you go first.
Well, the neat part about that is, again, if that's your spouse or a significant other or somebody, that's okay. It's okay to go find different who's, and maybe you're not in a line with that type of goal. Get aligned though in a vision space, right? So what can one do when their most important person in life is not a cheerleader for you? It's have certain milestone measurements that you can share your successes with. Maybe it's not the big thing. Maybe it's a little small thing that you can share. Though you got to go find who's.
I would go the opposite route.
Mhm.
Just to give another, I would pull a page from something that Linda McKissick has taught me for many years. And I would say you need to have hard conversations with that person and actually go directly to that person and figure out why, what is the deeper meaning for why they aren't a cheerleader for you. There's a format that I followed many, many, many times in Fierce Conversations, the book, called the confrontational model. It's so good. It's great for family. It's great for friends. It's great for business partners. It's so great because it takes the emotion out of it. And I would say if it's the most important person or a very important person in your life, then I would want to get to the bottom of why, and I would want to fix that. And I think it's probably going to take a hard conversation to do that.
Yep.
So great question. Okay. So step number 4 is, out of 5, is do it now. So some people, I love this. Some people spend all their lives on a boring little island called Someday Island. Someday I'll be happy. Someday I'll hike to Nepal. That's not me. That's not one of mine. That was from the book. Someday I'll build my dream house. Someday I'll have a great adventure. And he says, life is not a dress rehearsal. Life is right here, right now. So I want you to think about maybe a few things, 5 if you're really an overachiever on this Wednesday, that you've been procrastinating about and that you need to put a plan to actually do. Raise your hand if you feel like you're a procrastinator. I'm just totally curious. Perfect. Me and Michelle. Adam's raising mine a little higher than possible. I definitely am a procrastinator. So this quote at the end, it's, while kind of depressing, it actually really is good and hit me. Each morning he'd stack up the letters he'd write tomorrow and think of the friends he'd fill with delight tomorrow. It was too bad indeed he was busy today and hadn't a minute to stop on his way. More time I'll give to others, he'd say, tomorrow. But the fact was he died and faded from view, and all that he left when the living was through was a mountain of things he intended to do tomorrow. And isn't that good? I mean, it's kind of sad, but really it's good. It's true. And I thought, golly, that's totally how I can be sometimes, because you get busy. I get busy in the day to day. So think about things that you've been procrastinating, that if you just put a little plan to it, then you would be able to accomplish those things. And you just put a little bit of action behind it, because what the book says is sometimes we think that it has to be this huge master plan, or we have to put all these big action steps. And really it's just putting a little tiny piece to the plan. So Michelle, I'm glad I'm not alone. Michelle said I'll do it, and morning is mine.
Or start on Monday.
Yes, Josh, I love this. I knew that you would say on some things it's good to do an audit on your procrastination. Yeah, totally. John Maxwell teaches that. I know that's probably where you got that. Sometimes we forget all the things we push off that could change our lives. Totally, totally true. And Linda's always taught me too that if you are procrastinating on something, it might actually be because you need to be, and you need to actually give yourself a pause on it, because it might not be exactly what you're thinking.
So I want to add something to this, and it's around habits, right? Habits are, if you're a procrastinator, that's totally fine. Though what's important to you and what's important to you about that, and then create what are called habits. Now there's 3 actions that you do with a habit, and that's number 1, find a cue, right? And the cue is, remember this, time has memory and a space has energy. So here's what I mean by that. I'll give a simple example. Health is really important to me. Exercise is really important to me. And there's many reasons why behind that. Though I have a certain time frame that I work out. After I finish, I track it, right? I track how many, and this is going to sound a little excessive. Nevertheless, though, it is doing this right here. I track it so that I can see my progression, because sometimes when you look at your health, how do you track your health? Well, I feel good today. All right, well, let's track it somewhere else. So number 1, you have to have a cue. The second thing you have to do is take action, right? And taking action is very simple, but again, that has to be probably in the right time and probably the same space. And the third thing you have to do there is reward yourself. Now, reward isn't necessarily going to be a reward of making more money or feeling better or looking better if it's in a health space. Reward yourself by giving yourself a pat on the back, or
a Cadbury egg.
Cadbury egg or 3. Whatever that reward is, reward yourself. But do those 3 steps, find a cue, take action, and then reward yourself. And this will come a lot faster.
Since we've been in Josh, since we've been in Florida, I've worked out with Adam every single morning. You all, my neck is hurting. Like, I didn't even know that you had muscles right here in your neck, and literally, like, my neck is so sore.
Lord.
So every day I've been like, I'm getting my Cadbury egg today. It's like the one thing I look forward to. I love
It's
those.
the reward.
It's the reward.
1 more mile, honey. Cadbury egg. 1 more mile, honey.
It might defeat the purpose, but that's okay.
Poor Dana.
Thanks, Michelle.
Poor Adam.
Okay, so next up, oh, we gotta hurry. Okay, we're almost done. So next up, this blew my mind actually. And I just think this is one of the coolest things. So this is a kind of not a great picture, but this is a page in the book. And it lists all of the wonders. And William Shakespeare said, "You shall see wonders." This is your life, your one and only life. Shouldn't you at least see one wonder for yourself over the next 5 years? And so this is a list of all these. I was a little nervous to put this on here because I know Adam, and by the end of the day, he's going to be like, "Did you know that we're going to the Panama Canal in 3, like we're hitting," and some of these things make me a little nervous. However, I think this is so cool just to even have the list, because isn't that true? Like, shouldn't we at least see one of them? I would be interested, for those of you that can read this, if you have been to any of these, type it in the chat. I would love to know. I think we should start simple, like maybe the Hoover Dam or Mount Rushmore.
Honey, where's the Hoover Dam?
I don't really know. Yes, Jess said, let's plan this trip today. So I just wanted to share this with you because I just think this is so cool to think about.
You've seen Big Ben.
Where? Oh, yes, that's true.
Mhm.
Yep. Okay, there we go. I have one on the list. And hold on, the Empire State Building. That was on here, I believe.
That's good water.
Panama Canal. What'd you say?
Tyler, Mount Fuji has good water right here.
Tyler. Oh, look, Jamie Lee's been to Big Ben, Niagara Falls, Eiffel Tower.
Nice.
Love it. Yep. Niagara, Eiffel Tower, Golden Gate Bridge. We've been
Mhm,
there, haven't
mhm.
we? Golden Gate. Okay, look, we already had some on here I didn't even think about. And I think we might do the Eiffel Tower later.
Remember when we were skiing one time in Aspen? So here's a funny story that says nothing to do with anything. We're skiing, and I'm filming Amelia. It's first time ever skiing, and I have her on video. I said, "Amelia, where are we?" She goes, "Skiing." I said, "Where are we skiing?" She goes, "Mount Everest."
Oh, yeah.
I said, "Mount Everest." It's like Colorado.
So this is your life, your one and only life. Shouldn't you at least see one wonder for yourself over the next 5 years? This is crazy. Did you know of the original 7 wonders? Only the Great Pyramids, and I don't even know how to say that. Giza. You can tell I'm not a world traveler. Are the only ones that are still intact. but there are lots of other wonders to choose from. So which one will you see for yourself? So I want you to just dream for a minute and go back and write down one that you would love to see in the next 5 years. Carlos, Giza? Giza. Okay, you all both spelled. Okay, thank you. Yep, Giza. That's it.
She's from Kentucky, Carlos. Don't forget. Bless her
Actually,
heart.
Tennessee, which may be worse. Which may be worse. So, which one would you like to see for yourself in the next 5 years? And jot that one down. So, lastly, this is it. Step 5 is what you focus on increases. So, in 3 minutes, I'm going to rush through this. Every day matters. Live each day as if it's your last, because one day you'll actually be right. So here are the 7 things that you can do to think about what you focus on increases and living each day as its own. Number 1, life is too short to be cranky. He says, attitude is a choice. We create our own world by the way we choose to see it. For the next 5 years, your mind can focus on fear, worry, problems, negativity, or it can focus on confidence, opportunity, solutions, optimism, and success. You actually get to choose. Number 2 is keep your word. You want to read that one?
Mm-hmm. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Look the world straight in the eyes. Live and work with honesty, openness, and integrity. Keep your promise, and everything else is a piece of cake.
Yep. Number 3 is forgive everyone, especially yourself. Just let go of past hurts. Feelings of resentment are worthless. They actually can only drag you down. So for those of you that are grudge holders, you have to work on this. The courage to forgive and move on is so liberating. Make it a rule. Always be the first to forgive. And I think that's such a good rule if you think about it, even though while sometimes they can be hard. Number 4 is move forward.
Yesterday is a canceled check. The past is not your potential. There are far better things ahead than any you leave behind. The next 5 years are a blank canvas, clean and bright. Decide that you will throw all the paint on it you can.
I kind of like that one because I
Mhm.
think thinking of the next 5 years as a clean slate are good. Number 5 is quit worrying. It's been estimated, you guys, that 99 out of 100 things we worry about will never actually come to pass. If you stopped worrying about what might happen tomorrow, wouldn't you give more time to yourself to actually enjoy and savor today? What did you worry about 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, and how many of them have actually come to pass? Probably none. So quit worrying. And then number 6 is be grateful.
Stop and view your life through the eyes of others. 6 billion people on earth. Literally hundreds of millions of people would gladly trade places with you right now. Be ecstatic.
That one was actually crazy to me. And in the beginning of this book, you do the wheel of life exercise, which we didn't have time to do today. But one of the fascinating things to me is you score yourself on that. And you guys, this is nuts. Angie, I just did this exercise with you guys, so you'll remember this. You score yourself on a scale of 1 to 7, where you're completely satisfied or not satisfied at all. And get this, on the Forbes magazine list, the 400 richest Americans in the world averaged a 5.8 on the wheel of life. The same as the Inuit people in Greenland and the cattle herding Maasai of Kenya who live in dung huts with no electricity or running water. Their average was a 5.8 too. And that to me was like mind blowing. So lastly, number 7, it's the little things. Thinking small is an art. The happiness of life is made up of all the little things: a smile, a helping hand, a caring heart, a word of praise, a moment of laughter. Just savor all of the moments in the little things. So I just want you to think about, as we close, when was the last time that you did something for the first time? And what do you really want the next 5 years of your life to look like? Because if we think about mindset, we've got to really look at the next 5 years. And hopefully today really helped. And I did not make you guys do the exercise that you figure out how many days you probably have left on earth. But if you want to do that and really freak yourself out, then go get the book and it tells you how to do that. I was like, man, that's a crazy exercise. So hopefully today had you guys thinking and got your mindset in a good place. And thanks for joining us. And we appreciate you guys and hope you have a great rest of your week.
Hey, take a selfie with everybody. Hurry.
Oh, okay. Don't go.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Got
Perfect.
it.
Erica was smiling. Perfect.
She was. We got them.
All right, guys. Have a great week.
Thank
Go
you.
Florida.
Cadbury
Thank
eggs.
you.
Cadbury eggs. Let's go.
Bye.
Bye, Tyler.